once you've got your initial infrastructure set up, the next step is to essentially register it. The easiest way to do this, and it seems kind of weird that you would have to do this, but you have to go through this process. All right, I'm going to go back to the main menu here of my site recovery, and I'm going to go to prepare infrastructure. And again, clearly we already have. Now what I'm going to do is say, okay, I've got on-premises, and I'm going from on-premises to Azure, and I'm using Hyper-V, but I'm not using System Center Virtual Machine Manager. There's my basic setup. All right, and I am going to fib and say, yes, I've done all kinds of planning. I've done planning in that I've done it before and I know it works, so I guess that's planning. By the way, you should really do planning for a real environment. This one's pretty straightforward. All right, and then it's going to say, okay, what do you want with your source? Now, I could have actually created the site and the server here, but I wanted to go and do that separately, so I've got those. Awesome. All right, and say, okay, what target do you want to use? And ensure at least one compatible Azure storage account exists. I've got a ton of them. Found 8 of them, so we're good there. We've got at least one compatible Azure Virtual Network. Fantastic. Then we go and set up the replication policy. So I have to create a replication policy, and I'm going to do that by going create and associate. We give this a name of, yes, you guessed it, demo policy. Please take better names. All right, and so we can set what's the copy frequency. 5 minutes is fine for this. You can go down to 30 seconds, but don't need that for the demo. All right, recovery point retention in hours, 2 hours recovery point. You can see frequency, initial replication is definitely immediate, and I hit OK. All right, that's going to create the policy, and it is going to link that policy to my demo site, which is the site that I'm using for, well, demonstration. I'm going to pause this so you're not watching the replication policy get created and linked, although now I've probably talked enough, it's almost done, but we'll hold off till it's done and I'll be right back. All right, so my replication policy, which I carefully crafted, has now been associated with my replication site, which contains my replication host. So that's all good news. All right, so now my infrastructure is officially prepared. And then the next step is to actually set up replication. Okay, so I'm going to go into the source. All right, my source is on premises. It's the demo site. Okay there. And then I'm going to pick up a target. Okay, and so the target is going to be Azure. Okay, I have a resource group that I'm going to fail into, which is Site Recovery Destination. Okay, deployment model is going to be Resource Manager. Select a storage account. It's pretty sure I created one before, but that's okay. Well, Site Reco Demo with an S, usually how you start the word site. We will not make it geo-redundant because I'm cheap. And we'll hit OK. All right, I now have a storage account. I'm going to configure the Azure network now. I'm going to go and select a post recovery network, and I've got a network I'd set up, ASR.NET, and we're going to put it on the default. Now, this does have a different set of IP addresses than the source, and I just did that mostly because I'm lazy. Lots of decisions as far as whether you're going to go with the same IP address range or unique, and I just made that decision. Now, next thing, what virtual machines am I going to protect? I'm going to protect the one virtual machine I have to protect. Okay. And then I've got, all right, protected Linux. That is a Linux. We'll create the disk protected Linux. And we're going to replicate all disks because there's only one. It would not be very useful if I did not replicate that disk. And I'm going to associate it with the carefully crafted replication policy. And I am going to enable replication. There we go. That's it. Now I wait for a while it replicates that virtual machine. Again, a bunch of clicks essentially, and hopefully after spending close to 6 minutes watching this, you're not too upset that it was just a bunch of clicks. But that's really what it is. It's great, walks you through the process. Of course, you could do this from the command line, but that was a lot easier. Right?